Here the bodhisattva, from the first thought of enlightenment onwards, courses in the 6 perfections, 2. In the 18 special Buddha dharmas, and both matures beings and purifies the Buddha field. Subhuti. And how does he mature beings when he courses in the perfection of giving? The Lord. Here the bodhisattva gives gifts to beings, and thereupon instructs and admonishes them as follows. Here, son of good family, do not acquisitively grasp at the gift. May you not, seized by acquisitiveness with regard to the gift, reproduce your personality in such a way that in due course you will experience many ills. For here, in ultimate reality, there is no gift or its fruit, there is no donor or recipient. All these dharmas are empty of essential nature, and a dharma which is empty of essential nature cannot seize upon a dharma. For the emptiness of essential nature is ungraspable. It is thus that a bodhisattva, coursing in the perfection of giving, gives gifts to beings, but without apprehending a gift, donor, or recipient. A perfection without a basis is that, i.e., the perfection of giving. When he does not make a basis of these dharmas, he establishes beings in the fruit of a streamwinner, 2. He enjoins the supreme enlightenment upon beings. It is thus that the bodhisattva, coursing in perfect wisdom, matures beings. He himself gives gifts and others also he encourages to give gifts. He speaks in praise of giving, and of those others also who give gifts he speaks in praise, one acquiescent. In consequence the bodhisattva, who has given great gifts in this manner, is reborn in good families, he becomes the king of a fort or a universal ruler, or he acquires universal kingship. He then wins over those beings by means of the 4 means of conversion. Which 4? Namely, giving, kind words, helpfulness, and consistency between words and deeds. When he has won over beings by his gifts he gradually establishes them in morality. In the concentrations on emptiness, the signless, and the wishless, he enters on the certainty that he will win salvation by the methods appropriate to the disciples, 2. He makes them attain arhatship and the enlightenment of a pratyeka Buddha, and incites them to win the supreme enlightenment. Look here, you people, the supreme enlightenment is easy to know. In it no dharma exists by way of own being, nor any beings except by way of the perverted views. Therefore cut yourselves off from seizing upon all the perverted views. Free yourselves from samsara, and free others as well. In this way you will work a great will for yourselves, and also enjoin a great will upon others. It is thus that the bodhisattva should course in the perfection of giving, and as a result he will not, from the first thought of enlightenment onwards, ever fall again into a bad rebirth, nor will he ever fail to achieve universal kingship. And why? Just as the seed so is the fruit. When petitioners come again and again to that universal monarch, he thinks to himself, I have taken hold of universal kingship for no other reason than to benefit beings. And he says, whatever you may want, it will be given to you. It is yours and not mine. I have no desire even for this inward body, how much less for anything else. I have laid hold of samsara for no other reason than to benefit all beings. Whereas he has no desire for samsara, he feels compassion and fulfills the great compassion, which enables him to work the will of beings. And he does not apprehend those beings as fully real, but refers to them only as notions, agreed symbols, and conventional expressions. But this conventional expression is like an echo and should be known as incommunicable. It is thus that a bodhisattva should course in the perfection of giving, i.e., in such a way that there is nothing that he has not abandoned to beings, not even his own flesh, how much less those outward services by which beings should be free from samsara. Subhuti. And what are these services? The Lord. The 6 perfections, 2. The 18 special Buddha dharmas are the services which help beings to get free from samsara. Moreover, the bodhisattva who has stood in the perfection of giving and who gives gifts should then speak as follows. May you guard your morality. I will cause you to have an abundance of food, drinks, 2. Anything else that may be useful to you. For it is through your deficiency in these things that you do immoral deeds. That is why I will cause you to have an abundance of food, drinks, 2. The 7 treasures, and in consequence you will, having stood in moral restraint, gradually put an end to ill through the 3 vehicles, i.e. the vehicle of the disciples, the vehicles of the Pratyeka Buddhas, and the cognition of the knowledge of all modes. It is thus that the bodhisattva, who has stood in the perfection of giving, wins beings over through the perfection of morality. Moreover, the bodhisattva, when he has stood in the perfection of giving, speaks as follows to those beings who become enraged or who feel ill will. For what reason do you, sons of good family, feel ill will? If the lack of anything makes you feel ill will, then you can get it from me. I will bring about for you an abundance of food, drinks, 2. Anything that might be useful to you, so that you may not become angry or feel ill will. In this way the bodhisattva, who has stood in the perfection of giving, enjoins patience on beings. There is nowhere any existent or anything substantial from which your wrath is produced. An unreal fancy is this wrath. No real entity corresponds to it, nor is there a real entity which offends you, makes you feel anger or ill will, or which makes you bellabore others with sticks or swords, or rob one another of life. When you have got angry as a result of an unfounded imagination, you will be hurled into the hells, the animal world, or the world of Yama, or any other place of bad rebirth where you will experience painful feelings, intense, harsh, and bitter. Do not, O you people, for the sake of dharmas which are non-entities, acquire a karma which precludes the acquisition of a human rebirth, how much more so that of Buddhahood. In fact, hard to get, sir, is Buddhahood, hard to get is the acquisition of a human birth. May you not be estranged from these timely rebirths, may you not be filled with doubts. In consequence the bodhisattva perfects himself in patience, and also of those others who develop patience, one acquiescent. Thereupon, having enjoined patience on those beings, having established them in patience, he leads them step by step to final nirvana through the 3 vehicles. It is thus that the bodhisattva, when he has stood in the perfection of giving, wins beings over to the perfection of patience. And how does the bodhisattva, coursing in the perfection of giving, enjoin the perfection of vigour on beings? Here the bodhisattva, who has known of beings who are indolent, will say to them, "For what reason have you become so indolent?" And they will reply, "Because of the deficiency of the necessary conditions." But the bodhisattva, who courses in the perfection of giving, will say to them, "I will surely provide you with all the necessary conditions, be they giving, or morality, or patience, or whatever else is necessary for you to exert vigour." In consequence, through the services of the bodhisattva those beings exert vigour, physical or mental, and through that physical and mental vigour they fulfil all wholesome dharmas. Through them again they develop the holy dharmas without outflows, and as a result they will attain the fruit of a streamwinner, 2. They will fully know the supreme enlightenment. It is thus that the bodhisattva, who has stood in the perfection of giving, wins beings over to the perfection of vigour. And how does the bodhisattva who courses in the perfection of giving enjoin the perfection of meditation on beings? Here the bodhisattva, who has seen beings who are distracted in their thoughts, admonishes them as follows. "How is it, O beings, that you do not enter on the trances?" And they reply to him, "Because of the deficiency in the necessary conditions." But the bodhisattva then says to them, "I, my dear people, will provide you with the necessary conditions, which will enable you to have no discursive thoughts concerning either inward or outward." Thereupon the bodhisattva will provide these beings with the conditions which enable them to have no discursive thoughts. And these beings with their discursive thoughts cut off, will enter on the 4 trances and the 4 unlimited. Through those trances they will come to develop the eightfold path, and as a result will gradually reach final nirvana through the 3 vehicles. And some of them will not lose the path of enlightenment until they win the supreme enlightenment. It is thus that the bodhisattva, who has stood in the perfection of giving, wins beings over to the perfection of meditation. And how does the bodhisattva who courses in the perfection of giving win beings over to the perfection of wisdom? Here the bodhisattva says to them, "How is it, O beings, that you do not develop the perfection of wisdom?" And they will reply, "Because of the deficiency in the necessary conditions." Thereupon the bodhisattva who has stood in the perfection of giving admonishes those beings as follows: "Avail yourselves of my services, and when you give gifts, to enter into trance, then, having fulfilled these modes, investigate as follows. Is there any dharma which can be apprehended when the perfection of wisdom is being taught, i.e. a self, to the supreme enlightenment?" The bodhisattva who courses in the perfection of wisdom thus does not apprehend any dharma. In consequence he does not settle down in one. And in consequence he does not review the production or stopping of any dharma whatsoever, nor its defilement or purification. As a result he does not discriminate as follows: "This is someone in the hells, this is an animal, this is someone in the world of Yama, this one is an Asura, this one a god, this one a human being. This one a moral person, this one an immoral one. This one a streamwinner, too. This one a Tathagata, an Arhat, a fully enlightened Buddha." It is thus that a bodhisattva, who has stood in the perfection of wisdom, wins beings over to the perfection of wisdom. And how does the bodhisattva, when he has stood in the 6 perfections, go so far as to acquire the 37 dharmas which act as wings to enlightenment? Here the bodhisattva presents beings with services which help them to develop the 4 applications to mindfulness, to the Holy Eightfold Path. And through acquiring that path they are freed from samsara. It is thus that the bodhisattva wins beings over to the holy dharmas without outflows. Moreover the bodhisattva, who courses in the perfection of giving, and who has seen beings who are helpless, suffering, and without food or shelter, matures them in this way. "Come here, you sons of good family, take from me food, to the 7 treasures, and let me thus help beings. And all that will contribute to your welfare, will, and happiness for a long time. But do not think that this benefit is theirs and not ours. For it is just for the sake of beings that I have procured this benefit over a long time. But he should give gifts after he has reflected that what is my very own that is yours." In this way he enjoins upon beings that giving, morality, to the 18 special Buddha dharmas, and he adds, "Do not be contented with these, but you must go further and establish those beings finally in the holy dharmas without outflows, in the fruit of a stream winner, to in the supreme enlightenment." It is thus that a bodhisattva, who courses in the perfection of wisdom, should mature beings in such a way that they are gradually liberated by the triple device, until in the end they are set free from samsara. Moreover the bodhisattva, who has stood in the perfection of morality, should mature beings as follows: "It is through the lack of the necessary conditions that you are immoral, but I will bestow those necessary conditions upon you, i.e. food, to anything that may be useful to you." Having stood in the perfection of morality, he helps beings in this manner with the result that they conform to the 10 wholesome ways of action. He has established them in moral restraint so that their morality becomes unimpaired, to untarnished. And this should be worked out for all the 6 perfections. End chapter 76.